You know how some people are like, I was the first to go to college and other stuff like that? Well, I'm the same way, but owning multiple LS swapped vehicles and thinking that was a good idea. Because now, I get twice the amount of GM problems as the average person. Neat. Very neat. Welcome to the channel. Today, we're tackling a project that I've put off for absolutely months. I've made a little video series of installing KILMAT sound deadening, or actually just installing any butyl rubber-based sound deadening in a car and seeing what kind of results we get with a sound meter. This is where it'd be if I knew where it was right now. Gotta find it. Firstly, it's time to dispel some rumors about the sexual tension in the room on this sound deadening. Is installing KILMAT, Damplifier, Rockville mat, all those second skin audio mat, is this what I should be doing to make my car quieter? Yes, but hang on, I know you got those little keyboard fingies all warmed up. It's part of a sound deadener package that should not be overlooked, but is not the end all for getting rid of all the frequencies that are present inside a car. But what it is I like to call the trifecta. It's cheap, relatively easy to install depending on how awful it is to pull apart your car. Cheap again, and pretty effective just right out the box. Now, a good real-world example of this is in the trunk of our '63 Buick. We've got 1-inch foam lining the whole thing, and underneath it we've got 2 layers of the mass-backed vinyl rubber just chilling out around here, which is actually going to be the next video in the sound deadening series. Today, we're following up on an issue y'all brought up on the door. On a previous video, we sound deadened the front doors of this car, and since it doesn't have rear doors, it's just the fronts. So unfortunately, Bean Dagger 69, you took my username, so first off, I'm pissed. Secondly, we're gonna have to install some rear doors to test it out, but maybe one of these days we'll get around to the rear door mod. But a couple of you mentioned that we should have sound deadened the outer skin on this door rather than the inner. On the Buicks, they are actually almost entirely enclosed, and you actually take off the door skin to get to inside the door of these things, which is not like a lot of modern cars that have a whole bunch of cutouts to get your window motor and your door locks and all that rocks, and to get all the rocks inside the car door. Obviously, where do you put your rocks? And since I covered ours with sound deadening, and nobody else really can unless you want to cover up those big holes, which I have done before, and I do not recommend it for serviceability, well, you really can't recreate this test. So today, we're going to cover the outside of the door and see if it makes any results. Well, it's going to make results regardless. We need to make those results more quieterist. So for today's project, we're going to be installing 2 layers of KILMAT sound deadening on the outside of our doors. Now, apparently KILMAT has changed names because it's made in the Russian Federation, and we've got a few sancti-poos on them right now. So, had to go with a different brand for about half the doors. Or just one door if you would have just put it all on one the first time and not spreading. I spread both boxes over both doors, so now both doors are out. I'm not good at science, is what we're trying to say. This is the other brand I went with because, well, kind of seems like the exact same thing. Like, really close to the exact same thing. Like, this might be a shell corporation. I don't know what that means, but they clearly like seashells, and it's not from the Russian Federation, so I guess it's A-okay for the US government for me to throw it in a car for sound deadening purposes. It's a really weird regulation flex, but in their defense, this is keeping me safe from Russian-based sound deadening companies. Now. Not before, because it's mainly in there, but now I'm safe. Now, it should be noted deep in your diary today that GM said the sound deadening should go on the outside of this door panel, inside. Don't dig into that. Now, they probably did this for a very specific reason. It was probably cheaper. That's it. I honestly don't know what to expect from the results today. Half of me feels like we're doubling the amount of sound deadener on the door, and we've already found from previous results that the sound deadening on the doors does a significant amount of noise reduction. But the other half of me knows from experience that once you get past 1 layer of this stuff, you are on the downward spiral of effectiveness. I know, but Matt, you just put 2 on there and said you love it. I know, and I will fight you for that, but that's where it is. It starts adding an insane amount of weight for not really much payoff. I don't know what to think about today. You could tell me that there are some echoes that go on in there, that maybe we're going to cut down on some noise that's rattling around like that, especially if you were in a speaker. I don't even know. Let's just go take it for a drive and see what happens. And I lied. We're actually going to sit in the car and be really quiet and listen for the ambient noise level. So we're low 42.234, someone in there, which is right in line with every other previous test, so I'm just gonna make the bar graph look like this time. Yep, looks the same. Now we're gonna test out sitting still in park with a fully warmed up engine idling at approximately 650 RPMs. Now it looks like we're floating between 57.6 and maybe low 58s. Now I'll sit down later and average these results out, but that kind of sounds like what we were already at. And while driving around, going 25 in my neighborhood around the same area we always test, it looks like it's about somewhere between 66 and 71-ish, 72-ish. Now, all right, boys, and probably at least one girl, mom, we got some results in, and it shows that I just wasted about $70 worth of sound deadening. For sitting stationary, which is all the green columns, you'll see that we got 57.9, which is like 0.3-ish away from where we were before. So I'm gonna call that a victory, but the real piece de la resistance, or as they say in Florida, pasta's day of resistance, is the moving results. We actually went up a tenth in sound. 66.7 is our average, and here we are. I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually kind of impressed that we installed like 8 pounds worth of sound deadener, made it louder. That's awesome. This is the first time our graph has gone up by installing more sound deadener, which is just breathtaking to behold. Now, let's be real. This could be attributed to just a little bit different variation of speed, or maybe the mic was a little bit closer to the engine, or farted. There's a lot that can happen here. Probably doesn't mean anything because a tenth of a decibel, that's not a lot of variation. So we could basically say that's in the margin of error, which I can also say, if that's in the margin of error, we didn't do anything, except made the doors heavier. So installing sound deadener on the outside of your door panels, after you've already fully lined the inside, not a good cost to benefit ratio is what I've discovered today. So join me next week when I make any of our other cars worse than they were the previous week and destroy their resale value. You'll like it, probably. Now under the phone we've got some mashed potato. Ooh. Now under the phone we've got mashed potatoes. Okay. Butyl rubber-based sound deadening. Same thing as mashed potatoes, I guess. We sound deaden just the front doors of this. Well, it doesn't have rear doors. But if you did like this, I mean, there's clearly a distinct possibility that I'll fail on camera and just keep making videos about it.